Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and we're going to take another look at space engineers. Now, I have been watching the views on these videos, and it seems like people are more interested in this ship build series and ship builds in general. And I kind of understand that. Most of the people out there, I have a few videos on that go over the core mechanics of the game, but most people out there that I think are watching these videos at this point, they have a good understanding of the core mechanics of the game, either by having owned the game, or already seeing other YouTube videos out there that have explained the core mechanics. So as you're not as interested in the core mechanics, and I understand that. You want to see these ship builds, you want to see different creative builds and how people build things, and that's kind of my motivation first off for this series. And I'd like to show you guys some other builds I've done, the things that I've done that I find like interesting features in the builds that I've done, to show off to you guys, maybe things you can incorporate in your own builds if you own the game. So one thing that you may be able to tell right away, it's something I talked about in a previous video, is adding on this hatch door to the weapons bay up here, these rocket launchers. And as much as you can see, it's not a perfect cover. I mean, you can see it from this angle, but it's only pretty much that angle. If you look at it from the side, you can't see it, and if you look at it from the front, you can't see it either. And part of my inspiration, a lot of the inspiration I've drawn and talked about, is from Star Trek Next Generation, or just Star Trek in general. And with the Enterprise, it's a ship that, although it's capable of being utilized in wartime, it's a ship that's used for other purposes in peacetime, and that's maybe what I'm going for with this ship. So, in peacetime, you cover up the ship's weapon systems, and out of sight, out of mind, and it can be used for other purposes. So, just to show you how I did this, essentially just a piston block on these blast door blocks, and you have to utilize those just so that you can put them in between these other blocks. But just to show you, essentially, all it is it moves 2.5 meters, which is pretty much the length of one block. So when I reverse that up, it goes ahead and draws it in one block length, and then if we go around to the front, you'll see that it has uncovered the rocket launchers. So essentially, that's how that works. So other things that I've done with this ship, if you're wondering why there was a bit of a jump there, it's because I had frame rate issues. This is a game that unfortunately I have quite a bit of problems with sometimes as far as frame rates go. But just to show you some more of the overall shape of the ship, and I've defined out so far. And now, a lot of these, the overall aesthetics they're a work in progress. They will be developed as time goes on. Now, one thing you'll notice right here is this odd shape here. That is actually a hatch. It's going to be a secondary, or maybe even, I guess you would say, a primary weapon systems bay. So let's go ahead, and I added this little control here just for the purpose of this video. Oops. I forgot what I was doing there. Okay, let's find our rotor, and we'll hit reverse, and we should see the bay door open. As you can see, it rotates downward that way so it doesn't pop up and be an obstruction. So this pops open, and obviously this room is not finished yet, but my idea is, now that they've implemented a lot of these updates where you can have essentially guided bombs, that this would be maybe the more heavy weapons bay. So once this door is open, then you could have ship's weapon systems hooked up by various means in this bay, and then you would launch them, and the weapons control officer and his little cockpit would then guide in the weapons to where they need to go. So you would have guided weapons, and essentially this door here allows you access to the rest of the ship, and it just goes into that one gyroscope room that I created in the second video. So you have access from the ship into this bay, and then once that door is open, you can then fire your heavy weapons out this bay, and guided bombs and what have you. Other changes I've made, something I talked about a little bit in the previous video is what to do with this dead space. I decided I'd add on some more engines, so that is what I have done. So I added on these engines. Pretty much anywhere that I feel that there is a lot of dead space within the ship and we could pile on engines, and it's not going to be, it's going to be far enough away from walls and what have you that it's not going to damage anything when it's utilized, we're going to do that because this ship's going to need a lot of thrust. It's going to be a very heavy ship when it's completed. So that's, going to be a major concern for us as far as the completion of the ship. But that's pretty much it for now, what I've done with the ship. Completing some of the outside of the ship a little bit, adding on a primary weapons bay here. There was a space here that I thought about maybe utilizing, but I'm thinking I'm just going to wall that off because I don't think there's room for anything, and there would be problems linking it up to an accessible point of the ship. So from there, we're just going to move on. But that's pretty much my progress so far, and I'm going to just do these a little chunks at a time for each video. And in any case, that's the overall idea of the ship build, is that we're going to do this a chunk at a time, and that's kind of my overall idea for the ship, is just so you guys can see every step that goes by. Because I don't know how many ship builds I've seen on YouTube, but most of them are just like, here, let's look at this really super fancy ship. I'm only going to show you a tenth of how I built it, but aren't you impressed at how fancy it is? Well, yeah, I'm impressed with it, but it doesn't really help me understand how you made it. You probably put hours upon hours into it to make it, or all it is an aesthetic ship and it doesn't really work. And I want both things to be the case. I want it to be aesthetically a good looking ship, but I also want it to be a functional ship when we're done. And that's, a lot of the inspiration of these videos, just showing you how we, get to that point of functionality. I hope you've enjoyed the coverage, and one of the things about the aesthetics, though, it's just one of those things we're not going to see it until it's done. That's one of the things that's really a challenge for me, but I've tried in other ship builds to have a visual picture of what I wanted the ship to look like, built the ship revolving around that, and then finding out that the interior of the ship just ended up being blah and crap. And from just my experience of building ships, I find it better to build from the inside out. Build out your interior, make your interior functional, work on the aesthetics of the interior, then build the outside around it. At least that's what I find from my own, builds. That seems to work. You may have different opinions on how to get a good ship built, but in any case, I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.